How are you enjoying NATEX so far? Yeah, I know. Who's so stoked to be here on the Gold Coast? All right, so I think people are still drifting in, so we'll just, give them a moment. All right, has everyone stood up, had a bit of a shake, got yourselves a cup of tea? All right, let's do this. So for those of you who don't know me very well, I'm a naturopath. I do a lot of functional medicine as well in my practice. I'm a huge pathology nerd. It's probably why Tammy and I get along and why Carla and I get along so well. I'm a speaker now. I'm a podcaster. I've been doing that for probably about 2 years. I do blogging, I do writing, I do a little bit of mentoring when I'm called to do it. And now, in all that spare time that I have, I also help the lovely Lauren Lacey, who's down the front right now, coordinate a volunteer program that we have started in the South Pacific. This is the other part of my life. So this is my beautiful husband and our amazing little rescue dog. So rescue dogs have become a bit of a hobby of mine. And I'll explain why this photo or this little collage is so important later. But just have a look. That's what I want to do in my spare time. Okay, so who's heard my story before? Stop laughing, you'll give it away. Okay. I used to be on stage for a completely different reason, but we'll just step back from that a few years. I know, right? We'll just, rewind a few more years to the bit that you may or may not know. Okay, so I grew up in a household where I was basically a square peg in a round hole. I was adopted and I never fit. It just wasn't a good match. It really wasn't. I didn't look like them, I didn't act like them, and they didn't know what to do with me. So it ended up being quite an abusive relationship. And at 16 years old, I left home, kind of forcefully. And the police said I didn't have to go back, which was very lucky. So I had some angels around me at the time, and it was very, very lucky that I happened to meet the right people at the right time who guided me to the right places. And I guess that was my first experience with not just going with the flow, but looking for those clues and those mentors and those people along the way who are going to help you out of this. So I was put into what's called youth accommodation. So at 16, I was living in a very dodgy suburb of Melbourne in what could basically be described as housing commission for kids. They pair you up with other homeless teenagers, they stick you in a house, and they send a social worker around once a week to make sure you're not pregnant. And then they just leave you to it the rest of the time. They also encouraged you to socialise with other people who are also in that program. So we had houses all dotted around the western suburbs of Melbourne, the outer west. I was in St Albans. Does anyone know St Albans? Is it still as lovely as when I was there? Yeah, right, okay, cool. So nothing's changed. I'm sure there's some good parts now though, because it's kind of close to town. But I had on one side St Albans' largest drug dealer, right, dealing out the back of his house and jumping the fence into my yard when he needed to escape people who were after him. On the other side, we had a lovely young gentleman who used to have arguments, shall we say, with his de facto, and she used to throw him out of the house, and then he used to either try and throw bricks through the window, or one day he had a gun and he threatened to shoot her. I rang the cops and hid behind the couch. It took 45 minutes for them to arrive. Yeah. So I also was encouraged, like I said, to socialise with other homeless young people who were in the program, and they offered me Serapaks and other, let's just say it got worse from there. So they're like, yeah, come over to our house, we'll do some rowies, we'll get drunk. I'm like, I don't think that's the life for me. I think I'm worth more than that. I think I'm better than that. And somewhere deep inside, there was this really lucky part of me that was very angry at that time. But luckily, there was this part of me that was like, I want to succeed in life because I want to stick it up the people who kicked me out of home. So that's what I carried into life. So by 19 years old, I was working as a stripper. Like I said, being on stage, this is not my first rodeo, right? And that becomes very important later, as you'll find out as well when we're talking about courage. But yeah, I was dancing, but because I'm quite a driven individual, I didn't just dance. I decided to become a showgirl. I was one of Melbourne's top showgirls. I did competitions. I was flown all over Australia. I wore massive costumes, danced on huge stages, and I think my record was dancing in front of 1,200 people at once. Yes, butt naked. That was in Darwin. Where are my Darwin people? Yeah! Yeah, Darwin's first ever, I think they called it a triple expo. I was on the front page of your paper. So from there, it was a goddamn miracle that I made it into naturopathy. But what happened is, like I said, there's always people who turn up along the way and give you a choice and are ready to guide you down the path that you need to go. And when I was ready to leave those badass years and move on to something better, I was anxious, depressed, my gut was a mess. Someone turned up, and she happened to be studying naturopathy in Melbourne, and we were very good friends at the time. And my first naturopathic consultation was a student consultation with my mate. She prescribed me some icky tasting brown herbs, and life got better from there. And she's now got Byron Bay's biggest naturopathic or wellness centre. Her name's Ren du Bois. And yeah, thanks to her in her student years, she changed my life. She really did. She taught me about organic food and eating well and not eating crap, and things got better from there. So you never know who you're going to touch, just with one little moment. That was like one student consultation. So hands up, who are my brand new Praccies? Yeah, do you remember student clinic? You don't even know who you've touched. Okay, so into the enlightened years and then on to the early Praccie years. So fast forward, and I graduated Southern School of Natural Therapies in Melbourne in 2006. And I did what any good little naturopathic freshie would do. I went and worked in a health food shop, because that's what you do, right? So I went and at first, while I was a student, I worked in a health food shop in East St Kilda called Barrett's, and we mixed muesli, and that was amazing. But then I went and worked at a place called Macro Whole Foods, and those of you who were just here for Carla's talk would have seen a photo of Kimberly. She was my boss at Macro Blackrock, and we did the dispensary there. So I had a very beautiful mentor. Kim's amazing. And from there, I started to really get a feel for naturopathy. So I also decided that one job wasn't enough. So I went and worked a second job in a drug and alcohol rehab centre called the Raymond Hayter Clinic in Victoria. Drove an hour and a half each way to get there, once a week, and worked with people of all ages and all walks of life, including people who are coming down off heroin, from alcohol, gambling. Ice was only just starting to appear when I was doing it. It was more speed. And I learned so much. It taught me to be able to talk to anyone at any time. We had rich people. We had people who'd robbed banks. We had kids from Toorak College whose dads had sent them there. We had all walks of life and a couple of charity beds, so you never knew who you were going to get. Okay? That was interesting. We had people who were very, very sick and couldn't have any alcohol either. So out went all the tinctures, and we had to be really creative. But there were so many opportunities there to hone my craft as a naturopath and to think outside the square, because it's like, oh, but I love MediHerb so much and I can't use any tinctures. What am I going to do? So they couldn't even have a drop. So that was a really beautiful time. And look, I know that Denise, in her earlier keynote, talks about, you know, hard work, and it was hard work back then. sometimes it's a little bit of a means to an end. You can't work like that forever. You can't. It was 6 days a week and I was already starting to burn out. And I was trying to do a bit of private practice as well, and I sucked at it. I sucked at private practice. It was the pits. I tried promoting. We had no Facebook back then. This was the olden days. This is 2006, 2007. There's no Facebook. So I used to walk the streets with flyers, and basically I sucked at marketing, I sucked at business, but I really, really, really loved naturopathy. So I did what any good junior naturopath would do, and when a corporate naturopathy opportunity came along at a well-known supplement company, I took it. So then I did training, product development, marketing, product management, regulatory affairs. I was in charge of getting 40 products into Health Canada. That means filling out about 120 forms, and it was awful. It was the furthest thing from those Harry Potter days of macro that you can imagine, because now I'm just sitting behind a desk and my best friends were a fax machine and email. That was it. So I learned that the same four walls every day was not for me. I learned that corporate was not for me. But in the process of all that, the long hours, the KPIs, the pressure, the same four walls, I completely and utterly burned out. So I did what any good naturopath would do when they burn out in a big city. Anyone guess what came next? I moved to Byron Bay. These were the rebuilding and recovery years, because I almost left the industry. Not many people know this, but the first thing I did when I got to Byron Bay is I went and ran a Lorna Jane store for 6 months, because I didn't know what the F I wanted to do anymore. I was so tired and so depleted and so disillusioned. I thought, I've tried clinic, I've tried corporate, I've tried being a sales rep, I've tried all these things. None of them were a good fit. What am I going to do? But then it started calling me again. So I went looking for a job in a health food shop. I thought, I'll start from scratch again. Because the last thing I wanted to do was hang up a shingle in Byron Bay, in a town that I've just moved to. I moved to a place called Bangalore. Does anyone know Bangalore? It's about 15 minutes inland from Byron Bay. The last thing I wanted to do was hang up a shingle and compete with everyone before I even met them. I wanted to meet the naturopaths, I wanted to collaborate with them, I wanted to get to know them. I didn't want them to see me as being, oh, here's the next person who's come from down south, you know, who wants to take over more clients. Because like Denise said earlier, there had been a real poverty mindset in Byron and people were quite closed, I found. My moment of clarity came. I had had a health food shop job on the Gold Coast, but that was just too far to drive and that wasn't really working out. But my moment of clarity came when I went into a local health food shop very close to where I lived, and he said, yeah, I'd love to have you. I said, oh, thank goodness. It's so close to home. He's got all the herbs. This is going to be a great rebuilding place. He goes, yeah, I can give you $17 an hour on your ABN. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm worth more than that. And to be honest, if that's all I'm worth in this town, then I'm going to go work for myself. I have literally got nothing to lose. $17 an hour on my ABN, no sick pay, no job security, no superannuation, and you want me to unload the organic apples on a Wednesday? I don't mind. I don't mind unloading your organic apples on a Wednesday, but I want more than that. I'm worth more than that. All naturopaths are worth more than that. So I didn't take the job, and instead I stayed home and started formulating a plan. And it was at exactly that time. You know how I said you have to watch for the coincidences, because someone will pop up. The next thing that happened is my cousin rang me. My daughter's really sick. She's 2 years old, failure to thrive. She throws up after every meal. And I said, Crystal, how long's this been happening for? She said, since day one. She's been told she has baby reflux. She's been told that she needs to be on medication for the rest of her life. They're going to do a gastroscopy. I'm really scared, Jules. I don't know what to do. I'm worried something's going to happen to her in the operation. I'm ringing you because I'm wondering if there's anything you can do to help bolster her up to make the operation less likely to have, side effects or problems. So I'm thinking, is it reflux? Crystal, is she eating gluten and dairy? Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what, when's the operation? 1 month. All right, I'll tell you what, can we spend the next couple of weeks, I want you to take her off gluten, dairy, sugar and eggs. Well, we had a long discussion about that, but we got there, and she took her off gluten, the dairy, sugar and the eggs. What do you reckon happened next? We had 4 weeks till the operation. What do you reckon? 48 hours later, I get a phone call. It's stopped. Operation got cancelled. The child is now thriving. She's growing. She's putting her head under the water at swimming now and blowing bubbles at swimming lessons, whereas before she used to have a tantrum. Didn't expect that, but all right, we'll take the win. All right, because you never know what's going to get better. And the next thing my cousin says to me, why don't more people know about this? This information needs to be everywhere. So I did what any good unemployed naturopath sitting at home would do, and I started a blog. I did a course called B-School, and I joined a mastermind. I created some online courses and online products, and so it began. I had finally found my calling. I really wanted to get this out to more people. I was still doing a bunch of other things. I was doing raw food high teas, I was doing workshops, I was trying everything, but all I knew back then is I wanted to get word out to more people that you could live a healthier lifestyle, eliminating these foods. Everyone wins. You can eat beautiful food and your health will get better. So I just want you to know all of this because I used to get a lot of people coming and saying things to me like, oh, you're doing well. And I'd be like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage this week, but thank you. And I think sometimes when you're looking around, especially when you're starting out, it's really easy to look at someone who's doing well and think, I can't get there. They're so far ahead. I can't do that. But actually, it took me a long time to get there. And I had to kiss a lot of frogs before I found my prince. So, on we move to the fine-tuning years. I now do online consults because this blog thing that I did, people contact you and they say, I want to see you. And I'm like, I don't see clients. I'm burned out. But they kept coming, so eventually I decided to do a lot of Skype consults. I now have all of these other products going on as well, plus I nick off over to Fiji 4 times a year, which I'll show you some more about that towards the end. And because that's not enough, my husband and I are opening an acute care dispensary in Byron Bay in April, so watch this space. Yeah. So if anyone knows anyone in Byron Bay who's looking for work, we're looking for team members. So what does it take to be successful in an industry where so many people are either undervalued or suffering from burnout? So this is where I wanted to draw upon some of Tammy Guest's themes for the whole weekend. And I know she's talked about connection, collaboration and innovation, but I also wanted to add one so that we've got 4 pillars, because 4 pillars always sound amazing, right? So we're also going to talk about courage first up. Notice she's not surfing a big wave, but she's still doing it. So practicing courageously is going to be different for everyone because everyone's going to have their own demons to battle. Okay? But I learned a lot when I was dancing that I didn't even know was going to lay the foundation for what was to come. I learned life skills, but I also learned sales skills in those clubs. Because in those clubs, you had to go and set your boundaries. The boundary is, mister, you're drunk, so I'm going to explain this clearly. There's a 2-foot rule. You can't touch me. If you touch me, this nice man over here with no neck, he's going to throw you out. Are we clear? Okay. You give them a sample, but you don't give it away. Okay? Don't show them everything. You would show them a little bit. Because if you give it all away, what are you going to sell? Okay? Tell them what to expect when they purchase. When you buy this product from me, this is what you can expect to have happen. Okay? Works for stripping, works for naturopathy too. It's amazing. Usually our clients aren't drunk, so they get it faster and you can talk quicker. It's really handy. Okay? But yeah, it's going to cost $20 a song. We're going to do it in that chair there. Are you ready to go? Okay? Ask for the sale. How many times have you had a conversation with someone about their health and you want to say, come and see me in my clinic, I'm amazing, like I can help you and I can do all these things, but you go, ugh, and you don't ask for the sale. Or you go back to what I said earlier, you give the farm away. You tell them all the things when actually it could have better been done in a consult, in a closed room, when you're both prepared for that conversation. Okay? Ask for the sale. And then part of practicing courageously is having confidence. Now, it's easy for me to say, standing up here, that speaking is okay for me to do. But it is, because I've been naked in front of 1,200 people. All right? So unless my clothes magically fall off, today's a good day. But what that does is that sets my benchmark. Because my benchmark is, if I've got my clothes on and it's not 1,200 people, I'm good. So very recently I was at a wellness summit and I was speaking in front of 800 people and they're like, are you nervous? And I went, I've been naked in front of 1,200. So what's your courageous benchmark? Have you jumped out of a plane? Who's jumped out of a plane? Who's done surfing lessons? Yeah. Yell out. What else have you done that's been really nutty and took a lot of courage? By yourself. Walked across Spain by myself. I know we have a rally car driver in our midst. She's my personal hero. When I found that out, I was like, oh my God, I love you. Volunteered in Greece. Volunteered in Greece and then ended up in the north of Greece in freezing weather, in the snow, and their room didn't have any heating. Yeah, that's a benchmark. After that, everything's easy. Okay? So if you need a courageous benchmark, the best place to start is find your why. Okay? Find your why. And I know there's a few people that will be talking about this weekend. Does everyone know who this lovely man is? This is Simon Sinek. If you haven't heard of him, go and watch his stuff on YouTube tonight. He's amazing. He's got a TED Talk. Okay, so my whys are up here for you all to see. Okay, so giving health information out to those who need it, like my cousin Crystal. Creating community and connection, elevating naturopathy further into the mainstream, and giving back. My personal whys are around spending time in nature, spending time with my friends and my family, having a bit of fun and having freedom. What are your whys? Okay, so I want you to have a very quick brainstorm. Who's got pen and paper? All right, I'm going to give you about 20, 30 seconds. We might even get some thinking music. And write down your biggest why. Why do you want to be not just a naturopath or a natural therapy practitioner, but a successful one? Okay. Now I want you to quickly share your why with your neighbour. Hey neighbour, guess what? This is my why. Okay. Thank you, DJ. You're amazing. All right, who's brave enough to share their why? Hands up. Yes. Yeah.
So I've got a few words.
Stand up, stand up.
Empowerment, ease, abundance, and presence for my family. The best version of myself.
Awesome. Did everyone hear that? Empowerment and ease, abundance, family.
Myself and my family.
That's amazing. All right, who else? Someone over here. Come on, it's called Stand Tall and Tell Your Story for a reason. You're here. Stand up.
My why is to make people smile, whether or not that's going to give them better health or just because you like.
Oh my God, that made us smile. All right. Someone in the front? Grace.
So I can spend more time with my partner and family and work less, and also to help other women who've been through my same struggles.
Yeah, and your niche is amazing, by the way. Amazing. Helping, what's the official pregnancy after loss?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so everyone's going to have a different why. And it's really, really important to really tap into that when the hard times come. But now I'm going to talk about two of the enemies of rapid success. They are perfectionism and comparisonitis. Okay, perfectionism. Who's a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to their stuff? Who's got a course or a book or anything, a website sitting there because it's not perfect yet that no one has seen? Yeah, it's not going to help anyone if it's sitting there, is it? Okay. Has anyone read Stephen Pressfield's Do the Work? You all have homework this week. This book changed my life when I was putting out my first online course. It takes an hour and a half to read. There are literally no excuses. You can do it as an audiobook. It costs like $11, all right? No excuse. The crux of the whole thing is that he says that perfectionism is just another form of fear, but you put so many things in your way, because if it's not perfect, then I can't possibly show it to people. Well, I've got a news flash for you. It's never going to be perfect. Because even once it's perfect and you put it out, you'll find something wrong with it, and then you have to go through that process again. I have an 80-20 rule. If I'm 80% happy with something, it goes out. Okay? There's typos, there's photos of food that I didn't like, there's always something wrong with it. Even this slideshow was only 80, I think the slideshow was 75% to be honest, because I did it in Fiji. But if it's 80% happy, it goes out and I move on to the next thing, okay? Execute swiftly and then fine tune it later, or get a VA to fine tune it for you. Okay, so where are you being the perfectionist in your business? I'll give you a quick 20 to 30 seconds. Write down, where are you being the perfectionist at the moment? Maybe it's a photo you were going to put on social media, but you were like, oh, there's a chin or there's a... Put it out. Maybe it's a recipe that you're like, oh, I could probably do a better version. Put it out. All right. Tell the person next to you. All right, my beautiful perfectionists. Who's ready to share? Hands up. Yes.
Writing treatment plans and protocols. I don't want to give it unless it's perfect.
Uh-huh.
Just my hidden writing copy for my e-course, my newsletter, emails, anything like that.
Oh, writing copy is such a huge one. Because you could redo that forever. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. We have someone in the front who can help you with that. Who else? Someone up the back? Where are you being a perfectionist in your business? Yes.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of a gut healing course that I'm writing, but it's become such a chore because it has to be so perfect that now it's just like, I really don't want to do it anymore.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't. Can you get it to 80%? How quickly can you get it to 80%?
It's probably really good now.
Because I'll call you, like, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, shall I give you a call? Okay, everyone, what's your name?
Sharon,
Sharon's going to have her gut course done by...
what's the Dutch name? End of Feb.
This is what I love. Anyone else want to dump their own ass in it? Anyone? Someone up this side? Yes, I've got 2 crazy people.
Well, I was just going to say, being practitioners help me become less perfect. It's helped me drop my perfectionism. I don't know. That saying to me, Michelle, I just had to let go and just be in the flow and do my best.
Was life better then?
No, I can better.
All right. Who else was at that table? Yes.
I decided that I needed a content plan, and because I haven't written a content plan, I no longer write blog posts or post on social media.
Oh my God! I have a question. What's a content plan?
That's why I haven't done it.
All right. No more content plans. All right. You can do them, but just post. Just post. Just post. That's the 20%. All right. Let's talk about our other little friend, comparisonitis. Who has suffered from this affliction? Yeah. Isn't it fun? I've got some cures for you though. But I have to tell you that this never goes away completely either. Okay, you just learn to live with it. I want you to turn off the social media and start following people who make you feel lifted up. And please unfollow the people that are making you feel like you're not good enough. I don't care if you're using them for inspiration in your business. I don't care if you're like, oh, but that's what I like to be like. If it doesn't make you feel good and energized when you see their posts, ditch them. You can always follow them again later once you're through this stuff, okay? I unfollowed anyone who had a six-pack for a while. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Yeah. Then I realised there was a couple of people with six-packs that I actually really liked, so I followed them. They were not female, though. So sometimes you just have to unfollow the ones that make you feel bad, just for a while, okay? Remind yourself daily of what is the superpower that you have that makes you different and that makes you awesome, okay? You're not trying to be like anyone else. You have your own special brand of awesome that you're going to bring to the table that's going to be better than, different than the other people that you're comparing yourselves to. And then I want you to take imperfect action, 80% done action, and keep taking it, because the only thing that gets you over comparisonitis is actually taking a step forward. That's the only thing. Okay. A little bit of thinking music, and let's see, who are you comparing yourself to? Write some names down, because these are the people you're unfollowing later, right? Who are you comparing yourself to? And then let your neighbour know. Yeah, you don't even want to say it at first, do you? You're like, oh, it's so embarrassing. Mine was Dr. Libby. I refollowed her again later though, because she's awesome. Okay, are we all going to unfollow them on Monday? Just for a while. All right, thank you, DJ. You're amazing. Thanks, Zoe. Okay, let's change the tone a little bit now. And we're going to talk about one of my favourite things in the whole world, and that is connection. And you'll hear a lot about this over the weekend. And it's not just connection. It's not just liking someone's stuff on Facebook or double tapping on Instagram. That is not connection. I want authentic and true connection. So how do you best communicate with people? Okay, are you a writer? Who are my writers? Who are my speakers? Who are my visual people who take pretty pictures, amazing photos? Oh, I love you guys. You are the reason Instagram exists. Okay? Do you notice different hands went up at different times? So we all have different strengths. Who's a connector? Who are my community people? Who brings the tribe together? Yeah, I love that. It's my favourite too. Okay? So we need all of those skills, because there's people out there who are looking for things to read. There are people who are looking for videos to watch. There's people who want to go to events. There's people who want to see pretty pictures on Instagram. There's people who want to be in a group. There's enough people to go around for everyone. Okay, we're not competing for these people. So I want you to get your name out there to the people that matter, but the way that you can best get your name out there to the people that matter is to work out which one of these people you are, so that you can best connect with your tribe. Who's tried to use a platform before that just wasn't them and they just slogged away at it anyway? Does it feel good? Does it feel expansive, or does it feel like this? I don't want to open Snapchat today. Yeah, I think Snapchat's still a thing if you're 12. Yeah, but getting your name out there is going to require you to refer back in the slides to the courage section and work through those steps. Okay? And I also wanted to just touch upon one more thing that's going on a lot online at the moment, and that is that vulnerability stuff that you see going on. And it's so hard as practitioners, isn't it? It's so hard because we want to share stuff, but we don't want to appear unhealthy or weak, but then we need to share stuff because otherwise people won't trust us, and then we sound too clinical, and then we go, oh, I won't share anything at all. Here's a picture of my smoothie. Okay? You don't need to do it all the time, but a couple of little specks of vulnerability, delicately placed, can get you the most beautiful tribe of followers who now trust and connect with you in a way that is deeper than before. One of the breakthrough moments I had in my business, I did not know was going to happen. I had a photo taken of me coming out of the surf with my surfboard, and I had a look on my face like this. Because I was so happy because I caught waves with my best friend, and it was the best day ever, and I felt really good. And I was like, I'm posting that photo. And I went to post the photo, and the first thing I saw was my thighs were touching. And they looked a bit jiggly. And I was like, there's some cellulite, and there's a roll there. And I was like, ah. Well, I ended up having a little think about it, and I posted that photo. But I posted that photo instead of like, oh, just had a surf today, you know, hashtag work-life balance, which is what it was going to be. Hashtag Byron Bay Life. 2, I wasn't going to post this, but now I'm going to because I want to show you. Check it out, my thighs are touching. They look a bit jiggly. And I wasn't going to post it because I didn't want you to see that, because I thought you wanted me to be perfect. It kind of went viral. I wasn't prepared for that, but do you know, when people came to me over the next couple of months, and I said, how'd you hear about me? And they said, oh, Facebook. And I said, oh, cool, you know, what got you over the line to book an appointment? They said, I saw this post from you, and it's so weird. I just felt like I connected with you, and then I really wanted to book in because I just really liked the way you talked. But you can't go and post a photo of your thighs touching and talk about your insecurities every day. But very occasionally, do not be afraid to just drop something in that's going to help other people who are going through exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Oh, my thighs are wobbly and they touch too. She's the naturopath for me. She's not perfect. Turns out they didn't want to go to a naturopath who had a six-pack. Saves me a lot of time at the gym. Okay, we don't have a lot of time to talk about PR, but I will say there is something out there called Source Bottle, S-O-U-R-C-E, Bottle. Look it up, join that, start answering their call-outs, okay, because that is amazing for PR, okay? Don't be scared to reach out to other people in the industry that you want to be involved with. We are talking about collaboration a lot this weekend, are we not? So, who do you want to collaborate with? Who do you want to, who do you want to appear in? Is there someone who's got a podcast you want to appear in? Has someone got a newspaper you want to appear in? Have you reached out to that person to be on their podcast or to be in their newspaper, or have you gone, oh, wait until everything's perfect? 80-20. Who would you love to reach out to but have been too scared to ask? Okay. Oh, I think I want to hear this one. All right. Who's got someone they really need to reach out to but they haven't done it yet? Someone else first before Grace. You don't have to. It's cool.
Somebody contacted me recently and said that they wanted to help me with my business, which I thought was really lovely. It's a colleague that I work with in corporate, and she's got a marketing and advertising background. And she said, I heard that you were looking for somebody to help you. She said, I'd love to be the person to do that. So we're meeting up on Thursday.
And how good was that? We can do that with other people too. Okay. Who can think of someone they can reach out to on Monday? Who's hoping to be a niche of some sort? Who's got a niche here? Women's health? Yeah? Thyroids? Who are my thyroidies? Who are my autoimmunities? Yeah, who are my men's health? We need more of people in that niche. Okay, there's podcasts out there. There's people writing articles for magazines all the time. Okay, reach out on Monday. Anyone scared of being judged? Who has not posted something on social media before because they're like, I'm going to get trolled? I'm not looking at you, Alicia. Okay, here's the thing about popping your head up in the industry and owning the stage or owning that space, right? You are always going to have someone who doesn't like you. And I love Dita Von Teese. Does everyone know Dita Von Teese? She's an amazing burlesque performer, and she said, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the whole world, and there's still going to be somebody who hates peaches. I don't know who they are. They're probably on a carnivore diet. Okay? So I can't guarantee you that you'll never get trolled. I can't guarantee you that you're never going to get hate mail. I've had people say online, who does she think she is talking about natural health? She's got tattoos. She's got this stuff in her body that's toxic. And she's trying to tell people to eat healthy? I didn't reply. I've had people email me with like tirades of abuse, and then they said, oh, and I've even checked out your boyfriend and he's awful. And I'm like, he's actually my husband. Okay? But I want you to ponder, what is the cost of not putting yourself out there? Think back to my cousin Crystal, who didn't know that a baby with reflux needed to be taken off a few basic things before having the surgery, just to try it out. What is the cost of not putting yourself out there to the world? There are people out there who are eating white bread with hidden fibre in it and thinking they're making a healthy choice. There are people out there drinking reconstituted orange juice, thinking it's a good source of vitamin C. There are people out there who think, a whole load of ideas that aren't right. We know they're not right. We know there's still work to do. There's still work to do. There's going to be work to do for a very long time. But if we hold back from putting ourselves out there and our messages out there, how are we going to ever get it out to these people? If we hide, that's what the trolls want. But what we need to understand is that if we all work together in the spirit of collaboration, we can have each other's backs. And I've seen this, where if someone is in trouble with trolls, if someone is having a hard time, then that person has had a team of women or a team of naturopaths around her who's had her back, okay? So if you're worried about getting absolutely caned online, the best thing you can do is start supporting your fellow Praccie friends online, because they will support you too, okay? I'll tell you a very quick story about actually, I didn't even know this when I put it in my talk, but the woman who used to own Naked Treaties in Byron Bay, which by the way is not a strip club, it's a vegan, it's a beautiful raw vegan cafe. It's not there anymore, but it was amazing, and you could go there and get the most epic smoothies and raw chocolate. And the lady who owned it, her name is Gemma, and she's doing the cacao ceremony tonight, and I had no idea. But when I was doing raw food workshops in Byron, just starting out, she also did raw food workshops, so I thought I'm going to do the right thing here. And I walked into her shop with a flyer for my upcoming workshop, and I said, I just want you to know this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it on this date. And I just wanted to make sure it didn't clash with any of your workshop dates, because that would be kind of awkward. I don't want to act like I'm in competition to you. And she goes, oh, no, darling. Oh, no, darling. Oh, no. Here, we work in a place of abundance, not competition. When you're working from a place of abundance, there is no competition. Here, let me put your flyer up in my store. It would be great if we could fill your workshop. I got the message. Cheers, universe. Cheers, big you. I know now. So she helped me fill my workshop. And you know what happened? Next time she had a raw food workshop, I was helping to promote her workshop. And you know what? Everyone's workshop succeeded. That's how we should be. Okay, so how can you help others? You know how I said guest post, podcast, you know, popping your head up? Where else can you pop your head up to help others as well? Because if you're approaching someone to be on a podcast or a guest post on their blog or in their newspaper, this isn't just about you. What can you offer them as well? Okay, this is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Without a story, they've got no paper. Without an interviewee, they've got no podcast. I need interviewees. So if someone pitches me, if they pitch me and they tell me how we can help each other, that, oh, this would be good for your tribe, Jules, because I noticed that your listeners are women with adrenal problems, and I too have a thing that's for women with adrenal problems, so I'd love to come on your podcast and talk because we have the same audience. I'm like, oh, great, you can help my tribe, come on in. Okay, that is collaboration. So don't be shy reaching out to people because they need you too, okay? And by the way, doctors, health coaches, wellness bloggers are our friends. They are not the enemy. I know we've been taught to think that they're our natural enemy, but they are our friends. Some of my biggest streams of income have come, like in terms of whole loads of new patients coming into my practice, have been from being on podcasts and on in programs of people who are health coaches. Okay, health coaches, Alex Stewart, Lisa Corduff, Joe Witten. I've been on all, they were, and the Merrymaker sisters. Does anyone know of these people? Yeah? Yeah. So some of those people are wellness bloggers or health coaches, and I went on their podcast and it went out to 150,000 people. And what do you know? So I've offered value to their podcast and to their tribe. I was in Lisa Corduff's program, like she interviewed me for one of the modules in her program. That was an amazing source of income because people said, oh, I felt like you got me and then I needed a consult. So again, like the acute care model of the dispensary, Lisa was solving their short-term problem by getting them to cook with more whole foods. She has a product that's around cooking, you know, learning to cook whole foods and getting rid of processed food. So she's helping them with some short-term stuff. And when they hit a stumbling block in their recovery, I'm ready to catch them. So we worked together. And do you know what? When someone came into my clinic and they needed to learn to cook, I was like, there's this amazing program for you. So now we've got a win-win, mutually beneficial situation, and that's where we're all going to grow. Okay, we're running a little bit out of time, but we'll just zoom through some of these. But I do want you to have a think about who you can collaborate with in the future as well. Okay, so innovation is the other theme this week. And no, it's not just learning Snapchat. Innovation is about finding something that's yours, that's unique, that you can bring to the table. It's not about finding the next platform of software or the next thing, the next social media. Some examples of innovation: podcasting. How many naturopaths are podcasting? Yeah, like a handful. A handful. But a Nova Entertainment report in 2018 revealed that 3.5 million Australians aged 16 to 64 are listening to podcasts. 3.5 million. It's just a few. It's just little. Okay. If you're interested in podcasting, come and see me, because I'm more than happy to help you. I'm pretty generous like that. I want more naturopaths to be podcasting, and nutritionists, for all my nutrition people in the room. There's a definite spot for you, space for you in podcasting. Definite. People love nutritionist podcasts. Okay? You don't have to sound like everyone else. You don't need amazing equipment. You don't need any of that stuff. Okay? If you haven't got time, I can talk to you about which VAs to use or how to use a podcast network. I'm on a podcast network because I don't have time for that. I record it, I send it off with edit notes, magic happens, and then the podcast comes out. People are like, oh, can you tell me about how to... No, I don't know how to do that. Someone else does it for me. But within a few weeks of podcasting, I made enough money out of new client bookings who'd come via the podcast that it pays for that editing process. Okay? The other innovation that I absolutely love and is very, very dear to me is the give back, which is through Involvement Volunteers International, and Lauren Lacey is sitting up the back today in the purple t-shirt. 2 years ago this week, we were in Greece together on my first volunteering trip. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, Lauren is speaking tomorrow afternoon as well. Yeah, but here's a picture of us in Greece. This is 2 years ago. We were freezing. Not as freezing as Sam, who we'd sent up to Thessaloniki, up the top of Greece, but we were still freezing. And I crowdfunded this trip. So if you ever think, oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't have the money, please come and speak to me. We even have a brochure on crowdfunding at the IVI stand today as well. Okay? But in July last year, Lauren came to me and said, was it July last year? Yeah, it was. She came to me and said, right, I think you're the right person. I would like you to go to Fiji. I've got one other naturopath that you're going to go with, and you're going to start something in Fiji. I just want you to look around for projects. So that was 7 trips ago. I went over and we started something out of nothing. It was just 2 naturopaths having a look around. Okay, we've now built that up. I've actually created relationships with hotels over there. So we actually work in with the Sheraton Marriott Starwood chain over in Fiji. And that started out of nothing. It was just 2 naturopaths hanging out on some islands, and someone said, oh, would you like to come do some health checks? I noticed you have blood pressure equipment and blood sugar equipment here. Would you like to do some health checks on our staff? They live out the back of the hotel. We're like, yeah. We got out there and 20% of them had high blood sugar, and like 80% or something. There was a huge amount were overweight, and we had high blood pressures I'd never seen before. We had a blood pressure of 200. We've since beaten that. We've seen one of a 230. They're out on an island, and the closest hospital is 2.5 hours away by boat. So yeah, it was very think on your feet type stuff. But I went and said, what are they all sick? Show me to your mess hall. They were eating cake for breakfast. Management didn't know they were eating cake for breakfast. They were eating 3 pieces, Lamington-sized cakes for breakfast with custard on top. And I said, could you have some eggs on toast? I don't even give a shit if it's gluten-free. Just eggs on toast. Can anyone? Weet-Bix. Can't believe I'm telling them to eat Weet-Bix, but anything but cake. They said, no, all we get is cake. Emailed Sheraton. Dear Sheraton, we have a problem. But that corporate stuff I'd done years ago where I burned out had taught me what language to use. Next thing you know, the email to the Sheraton went up the chain, across the chain, and landed on the GM's desk for the South Pacific. He said, would you like to come and do health checks on every resort that we own in South Pacific? I was like, Lauren, what do you reckon? So now we have 4 trips a year to Fiji. We've grown from a team, this is what they were eating for breakfast at one of the other resorts. Does anyone work out what's wrong with that picture? Yeah. Yeah, it needs more jam. That's right, not enough berries. Yeah. So we've now grown to a point where our average team size is 8. We even had a team of 12 go last year. We have 4 teams a year go to Fiji. We have 2 teams a year going to Vanuatu, and hopefully 2 a year going to Samoa. And now it looks like I'm scouting Bali for something to do. Okay, this is also innovation. It doesn't require technology. It just requires someone to go and have a look at something with fresh eyes. It doesn't even take a pair of fresh eyes. Okay, this is some of the sugar education we do in the resorts. We also go to villages, by the way, which are also amazing. So we do a mix of corporate and village work now, and it's amazing. We do around 1,000 health checks every time we go over. Okay, so yeah, Fiji, Samoa, Vanuatu, 5 resorts, 10,000 health checks each year is what we're aiming for. I don't know if I told you that, Lauren. Heads up, 10,000. This program didn't exist 2 years ago, okay? So what can you bring to the table? What can you bring to the table next? What is a way to innovate using your skills and your expertise and your life experience that perhaps you hadn't considered to be innovation before? Okay? So I want to finish this by just saying, I'm not going to say just saying, I'm going to finish this by saying 100% absolutely go for it. Whatever you're thinking of, whatever that hairy, audacious goal is that you were thinking of, I really want you to go for it. We will all have your back. But some ways that you can make sure that people have your back is to create accountability. Pretty sure you're in a group, some really nice Naturapreneur group. Tammy's Facebook group is a great place to turn up and create accountability. Tell people what you're up to, what your plans are. Get them to hold you to it. When's this gut program happening? 3 weeks from now. Everyone? Right, we've got this. But yeah, start a small, if you're not a big extroverted person, start a small mastermind group, just a couple of people. I used to be in one of 4 people. We had like a call fortnightly, and we all just made sure that we held each other accountable. Get yourself a mentor. Find one accountability buddy. Look for collaborations that you can do. There are so many ways that you can get this momentum happening. But the most important thing is that 80-20. Take fast, imperfect action now, and the rest will work itself out. The rest we can support you in. Thank you so much for having me today.